Welcome back to my episode reviews of Earthrise, the second chapter in the Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy. Today, we're taking a look at the second episode of this new season. Now that I'm not in quite a rush to get this episode review out the same day the episode was released, still a little bit of a rush, but not as bad, let's start by taking a look at the new intro for this season. The first thing we see here is Cybertron, with Cybertronian text that says Cybertron, collapse imminent. No doubt alluding to the fact that Cybertron is dying without the Allspark. We then zoom out and we can still see Cybertron here with the same text, but beside Cybertron is another planet. This one being labeled Dominus, also known as Planet Master from the Takara Headmasters cartoon. This is the planet where the Headmaster Transformers came from in the Japanese G1 continuity. To the right of that, we have the planet Paradron. In the American G1 cartoon, this was a lost Autobot colony, home of Sandstorm and Lifeline, before it was ultimately destroyed by Galvatron and the Decepticons. Below that is Char, also from the original G1 cartoon. This was the planet where Galvatron and the Decepticons settled after being driven off Cybertron by the Autobots after the movie. Next to that is a weird-looking planet that kind of reminds me of the Dreamstone from the new Wonder Woman 1984 movie. This is labeled Nebulon, but I think it's supposed to be Nebulos, the planet from the end of the American G1 cartoon, where the Autobots and Decepticons met the inhabitants and became Headmasters and Target Masters in the series' three-part finale, The Rebirth. Continuing clockwise around, we have Antilla. Antilla was another Autobot colony. This one known for being wiped out by the Plague of Rust. Above that is Junkion, obviously home to Wreck-Gar and the Junkions. And that's the final planet before we switch to the next image. But before we do, we can see a yellow line and then a purple line leaving Cybertron, before it looks like they're about to converge. I assume that this would represent the Ark and the Nemesis traveling to Earth, but we don't see it on this map. Will the Transformers travel to these various planets? Who knows? We'll just have to keep watching to find out. Next, we have the Nemesis, with the text that simply says Decepticon Nemesis. Then it's the Ark, with text that says Decepticon Ark? What? Did whoever made this intro goof and forget to write Autobot instead of Decepticon? Or is this hinting at something that will be revealed in a future episode? We then return to the space map, where we see another line, a red one, leaving Char, and meeting up with the other two, with a mercenary symbol appearing in the middle. Could this be hinting at Galvatron? Or something else? Again, we'll have to continue watching to find out. We begin this episode with Double Dealer and his crew getting the Ark back up and running. He's talking to someone over his communicator, which will be revealed later to be a Quintesson. Now, I could try and translate some of this Cybertronian text that's on all these screens, but I want to get this video out today, not next week. So maybe I'll come back and see what this says, if I remember, when I do my overall chapter review. Like with her and Jetfire's conversation in the last episode, I love Elita 1's discussion with Megatron in this episode. I like how he tries to turn her to his side. It kind of reminds me of Kylo Ren and Rey in the new Star Wars trilogy. I think it would be very interesting if Elita uneasily chose to join Megatron in order to save what little of their people are left. And then maybe later, once they meet with the Ark, she'd have to choose between the Autobots and Decepticons. Or between Optimus and Megatron, if you know what I mean.
Where's the ugly one?
Huh? How can Bugbite call Bumblebee ugly when he's literally the exact same model as him, but a different color?
Hey, yellow is sporty!
This brings up another issue I had with this show, particularly this episode, is that there's often times when the characters are talking, and I just can't hear them. I mean, I've listened to this episode in both stereo and 5.1 surround sound, and just now, while doing this review, I finally understood what Bumblebee was saying here.
Hey, yellow is sporty!
I really shouldn't have to turn on subtitles in order to understand what people are saying. I had a similar problem last episode when Elita and Jetfire are arguing and the camera switches to Red Alert and Chromia listening in on them, and I was barely able to hear what they were saying. Oh well, Moving on, when Bumblebee says,
Mercenary scum!
I couldn't help but think of how in Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi said that the Cantina was a hive of scum and villainy, which made me wonder if we'll come across any mercenaries in this show who are good guys, like Han Solo. I also like how Bugbite says yellow. It's not clear whether he's just scoffing at Bumblebee's yellow paint scheme, or if he's calling Bumblebee yellow, like chicken or scaredy cat.
You hear me wrong? I said that's 10, you gutless yellow pie slinger!
I'd like to think that it's the latter. I've always wanted to see someone call Bumblebee yellow and try and goad him into doing something reckless. So I wonder if that's what Bugbite was doing here. Also, I guess it's kind of ironic that the original GoBots Bugbite was yellow. Double Dealer brings the Autobots to what looks like a Quintesson ship, where we meet Decius, who claims to be the Quintesson who fought against their own kind, gave the Transformers the ability to transform, and freed their people from slavery. Although Prime seems to have his doubts about Decius' story. I like how Decius, like the Quintesson judge from Transformers Cyberverse, has a mix of differently gendered faces. Going off their voices, they appear to have 3 male faces and 2 female ones. Although not for long, as after their conversation with Optimus, they say that they must reach consensus, which apparently means horrifically cutting off their own faces until only one is left. This might be the most disturbing thing I've seen in Transformers. And I've watched the Michael Bay movies. Cutting off your nose to spite your face is one thing, but this is taking that to a whole nother level. Back on Cybertron, Megatron asks Alita one more time to join him. Man, this really does kind of remind me of Kylo and Rey from The Last Jedi. Am I going to have to start shipping Megatron and Alita now? With the Autobots seemingly about to lose their sparks, they are unexpectedly saved by one of the Reflector trio from the last episode, who I'm now thinking might actually be Scrapface, as his little red headband does match up. And the Autobots are also aided by Skytread, aka Flywheels.
Punch me. What?
I got this.
This totally reminds me of when in The Rise of Skywalker, Hux demanded to be shot in the arm so that the First Order wouldn't think that he willingly helped the Resistance escape.
Bring me the ugly one!
Come on.
Why do they keep calling Bumblebee ugly? Aw, poor Bumblebee. I do find it funny though when Optimus says his old line of transform and roll out, only like half the Autobots are actually seen in their vehicle modes. Because, the rest of them probably don't have transforming character models. When the Nemesis is finally revealed, it's interesting how much this reminds me of when in Beast Wars they did the same thing.
The Nemesis!
The Nemesis.
The Nemesis.
Although it's kind of reversed here. Instead of the ship rising out of the water, here it descends out of the clouds. Again, this was another great episode. There's definitely quite a few surprises that I did not expect throughout this episode.
Prime took you for granted, Ariel. I would never do that.
And this is Ariel. Keep away from her. She's my girlfriend.
Don't listen to him. He's just the jealous type. Leave him alone!
Ariel, no!
Now we've got to try to help Ariel.
Yes. Can you reconstruct her as you did me?
Perhaps I can try a similar reconstruction using your schematics. A female warrior. Huh. I'll call her Alita 1.
I'm hoping that they can keep this up for the rest of this chapter. And if they continue to improve, then I'll be very much looking forward to when we eventually get to see Kingdom. What about you? What did you think of the second episode of Earthrise? Let me know down in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and do all that other fun stuff. And I'll see you back here soon for the next episode of the Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy.